Everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. We have a special guest with us today. We have a young man named Vikram Kumar is here with us, and he used to work for a company that helped promote videos on Facebook. And one of the shows he worked for was Aggressive Progressives, which is the show I still do for the Young Turks. And so it was his job to help promote Aggressive Progressives on Facebook. And he has some stories here to tell about the Facebook censorship, and it's worse than you think. And I think you'll get a kick out of some of these stories. Welcome, Vikram. Vikram, okay. Why do I have such a hard time remembering Vikram? So Vikram, so you were working for a company that was hired by the Young Turks, and your job, you were assigned to the Aggressive Progressive show, and it was your job to help promote that show. And so tell us some of the crazy things that happened.
So I was a content specialist that helped promote videos on Facebook's newsfeed, and I was doing that through early this year, January through March. And then in spring 2018, I woke up one morning to see that all of your videos had gone dark. And by that, I mean that your videos were getting flagged on Facebook for political content. And the reason being is that you were acting a little too Russian for Facebook.
So how do you know that was the reason?
So back in 2017, there was that TechCrunch report that said that Facebook was taking measures to stop the spread of fake news by banning certain political accounts from promoting their videos on their newsfeed. So when I heard Mark Zuckerberg in 2018 telling Congress that he'd be doing the same thing, I thought, what changed between 2017 and 2018? Are they taking new measures? Are they retaking the measures? And it wasn't until a week later that I realized that Variety magazine reported that Facebook Watch, which is Facebook's media platform, had reached a multi-million-dollar deal with CNN, Fox News, ABC, and large media outlets.
No kidding.
So nothing about your content changed between 2017 and 2018, but the congressional testimony was the perfect opportunity for the political establishment, the media establishment, and the tech companies to form an alliance against small media outlets such as yourself. And
wow, that's very insightful, right? So what was the deal Facebook struck with those mainstream news outlets like CNN? What they had a deal to promote them, or what was the deal?
So as you know, young people, they don't watch cable.
That's just correct.
News, yeah. And as you know,
but they watch this show.
Yes, they watch this show. And as you know, the viewership of Fox News, CNN, and ABC are dying off. They're getting older and older. And so what Facebook is it's access to young people, right? And so they viewed small anti-establishment media outlets such as yourself as an existential threat to their next generation of revenue.
Why would Facebook do that?
Because, tech companies view media companies extremely valuably. You go back to 1996, there was that merger between Microsoft, General Electric, and NBC to create MSNBC.com. A lot of people don't know that the MS in MSNBC stands for Microsoft. And the reason why media companies and tech companies are so intertwined with each other is because you can influence young people so much when you have the distribution network of something like Facebook. And with Facebook Watch and their media platform and that deal with CNN, Fox News, and ABC, they're able to indoctrinate the next generation of young people. And so they want to take viewership away from shows like yours and put those young people that haven't been paying attention to cable news back into the pockets of companies like Fox News, ABC, and CNN.
Wow. Well, they'll call. So we knew something was going on. So when CNN writes an article smearing channels like mine, like this show, the reason, and we said immediately while they're doing it, because they knew they were lying. They smeared us as conspiracy theorists because we asked for evidence in the Syrian war. Again, they can spew every goddamn conspiracy in the world, CNN, which they do. Which like WMDs and why we have to go into Iraq, and Assad is gassing his own people, and Medicare for all costs more than the system we have now. All these crazy conspiracy and wrong facts, and no one will ever call. But us, they'll do that, and we knew when they were coming at us and smearing us was because they're trying to get people. They're trying to discredit independent media because we're their competition. Because CNN's average age viewership is somewhere around 70 years old, and the average age viewer of our show is somewhere between 18 and 35 years old. And that's what advertisers like. And the reason why advertisers like younger viewers, because after you reach 50 years old, you are set in your ways. You become brand loyal. I learned about this when I was in college studying marketing. You become brand loyal after you're 50, and it's much harder to get you to switch brands after you're 50 than before, which is why all the advertising is to people under 50 years old. And so they couldn't attract that, and CNN can't attract that audience. We got it here, so they come after us, and one of their nefarious business tactics is to try to discredit us unfairly. And another one is to get Facebook to also suppress our content, correct? And you found this out.
Yeah, and the huge thing about the Facebook Watch deal is it's a 1-year contract. So during this year, these companies are out to prove to Facebook that come next year that Facebook will renew their contract. Every media company wants some of that Facebook Watch dough. And so the companies that have coverage that Facebook doesn't like are out of there. And new companies that have coverage that Facebook likes are back into the deal. And so Facebook is already taking steps to craft the political landscape in a framing that they find positively. And so you get that whole thing where Facebook shuts down over 800 political pages and accounts, and even legitimate political pages that expose things like police brutality. I know you pointed that out. And you're already seeing a coordinated effort from the establishment media and tech companies to kind of craft the narrative for young people.
So, again, I have said all along, as Matt Taibbi pointed out in his article about censorship from Facebook, is that the algorithms that Google does, YouTube does, Facebook does, the algorithms are all done in secret, which should already be a scandal. So the fact is they can do whatever they want. So I saw another fact or another statistic from Matt Taibbi was that 70% of people in America get their news from Google or Facebook. Meaning if you want to look up something, you Google it, and then whatever their algorithm is for stories, they decide what you get to see. Or you go to Facebook, same thing, and they're suppressing and deciding and pushing what stories they think you, just like you're saying, they're shaping the narrative for 2020 or 2019. They're deciding what is acceptable political thought and what isn't. And it turns out what's acceptable political thought is the establishment oligarchs' acceptable political thought, and people like us are being suppressed.
Yeah, and Facebook's narrative is whether you're part of the right or you're part of the left, if you're part of the anti-establishment, you're part of the problem.
So is your mind blown when you watch the news coverage of all this stuff or the lack of news coverage of censorship by social media companies? Doesn't that kind of blow your mind because you have such a firsthand knowledge of it?
The political discourse in this country right now is not at all focused on technology. They like to focus on micro events on the week-by-week basis, and they don't pay attention to what Facebook's doing, their long-term plan. I don't know if you know this, but Facebook owns this company called Oculus, and it's this virtual reality platform that a lot of young people are buying. And I mean, if you think Facebook right now is an immersive platform, just wait till they get their hands on mass virtual reality.
So they're going to try and monopolize the virtual reality world?
Yeah, Oculus right now is the biggest brand when it comes to virtual reality gaming. And so if Facebook's goal is to merge that with their social media platform, then we need to start the fight now.
And so just to be able to post my videos from Aggressive Progressives on Facebook, you had to prove you weren't a Russian. You had to give them your social security number, your home phone number, and your home address.
Yes.
And you told me a story about one time you posted a video. You had to talk to somebody on the phone for an hour about that video?
Yeah, and it was a video where you talked about the military-industrial complex and the United States alliance with Saudi Arabia, and it was a really popular video. It was probably your best video ever, and it just went dark. And a lot of aggressive progressive memberships were coming from that video because it motivated people to support independent media. That's not something you hear from mainstream CNN criticizing the United States for something like that. And so when that video went dark, I immediately called Facebook and I said, like, what the hell is happening? You know, this is ridiculous.
And
we weren't able to get anything live on people's news feeds for about a week, which was pretty devastating for us.
Wow, I had no knowledge of any of this, by the way. So as a young person like you who's up on tech, is it chilling to you? What is your takeaway from all this?
Well, the really frustrating thing is a lot of people had that hashtag delete Facebook thing going around, and they didn't realize that Instagram was owned by Facebook.
Yeah,
so.
I know.
So they still have that. And I mean, it's really a battle. So it's between getting young people's attentions. If young people right now are having kind of a diversified media diet of small media outlets such as yourself, and these giant corporations are viewing that as a threat, it's a battle between those companies and small media outlets. And so, again, you have that Becca Lewis NBC article that said that Facebook, and to a further extent YouTube, is radicalizing millions of people. So I guess you're a threat.
Yes. No, they're saying that. That was NBC News said that, right? That that YouTube is radicalizing people. It's like they're really afraid. They lost the narrative. They've lost young people, and the only way they can get it back is to have, hacks at the Washington Post and CNN and other establishment outlets write disparaging articles about us and try to scare people away from us. And so I don't know how many people, but they can't fool the people. But what they can do is they can change the algorithms. And that's exactly what they're doing. So if their smear tactics work, they wouldn't have to change the algorithms, but they're doing both. Right. And we're catching it here. And we see it's a coordinated effort. Right. This is happening. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google. This is a coordinated effort to control the narrative, suppress political thought is what it really is. But pointing this out, people will call you a conspiracy theorist, but no one will ever call the people who commit conspiracies conspiracy theorists. No one calls George Bush and Dick Cheney conspiracy theorists, even though they pulled off the biggest conspiracy of my lifetime, WMDs in Iraq. We have to start a war over it. So it's just amazing how people do that to discredit. And that's one of the things that the establishment, the oligarchs use to discredit independent news is they try to paint everybody with the same brow. They're fake news. They're conspiracy theorists. You can't trust them. Got to go to CNN because an apple is an apple, even though CNN lies on a daily basis. And we call them out, and they that's what they hate. So is there any other story that I forgot to ask you about that do you think is relevant?
I think that's about it, but I will just say that this all goes back to that 1996 Telecommunications Act that Bill Clinton signed.
Yeah, no doubt about you. And tell people about that.
So what it essentially did is it allowed for media cross-ownership so that non-media companies and media companies could merge together, which led to things like AT&T this year getting complete control of Turner Broadcasting and CNN. I mean, half of me wants to think when you see an article come out as CNN, you should just call it an AT&T article.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about the Telecommunications Act, and that was Bill Clinton did that, and it took 50 giant media companies in America, and it boiled them down to 6 giant media companies. And like you said, it allowed for cross ownership, not only between radio and television, which was before, and newspapers, which before was prohibited. Now you can be a non-media company owning media. We're living in Orwellian times, right? I mean, I know that's almost cliche now, but that's because we're living in it.
1984 is here.
Yeah, 1984 is here, and it took till 2018 to happen. And people in independent media are on the forefront of getting kicked in the chin over it, and we're feeling it. Our next live Jimmy Dore show is February 1st in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a list of all our live shows, and please become a premium member if you can. Become a patron. It's the way we support this show because they're coming at us, and we give you bonus. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Check it out. Become a patron. And if you can, make sure you're still subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I know it sounds crazy. It only takes a second. Please make sure and click that bell when you subscribe so they'll send you a notice when we drop a video. Thanks for your support.